How's it going, everybody? Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to paracord a steering wheel. This will work on any steering wheel, but I'm just doing it on a regular old metal boat steering wheel. This will give it a little bit of extra grip, a little bit of depth, just overall better appearance. Now I'm going to go over what you need. Alright, there's three things that you're going to need for this. Paracord. Doesn't matter what type, doesn't matter what color. I get 100 feet. That should do it. Maybe have a little bit of extra depending on the size of steering wheel you have. As you can see as well, I got one with a little bit of color because I am only using one color paracord. So this will give it just a little bit of extra contrast, maybe make that appearance a little bit cleaner. Use whatever matches your boat or whatever you think looks cool. Next, you're gonna need a lighter. I use a lighter personally. Some people use blow torches whenever, like a handheld torch, whenever they're dealing with paracord. But I feel that the heat on that, we're going to be working in close proximity whenever we burn to other line. So I would use a lighter because you can control the flame a little bit better and not burn pieces of paracord that you're not trying to. And then last but not least, I use scissors. I think scissors have a little bit of a more precise cut than a knife. If you wanted to use a razor or a knife, that would work as well. All right, let's get on to the start of the process. All right, for the next part of the process, the only thing you're going to need is your paracord, so you can set everything else to the side and we'll get to that at the very end. Keep your paracord nice and neat so you don't get it tangled up, and this will make the process a lot quicker and easier on you. First, I would find a spoke on the steering wheel that you want to start with. I'm going to start on the right side. Keep it nice and bunched. Make yourself a loop. So here I have the tag end on the left, loop draped over the steering wheel. Once that loop is draped, I'm going to come up with the bunch through the loop, as you can see, keeping it nice and neat. All right, I'm just going to set this down over here so I've got two hands to work with. So what you're seeing is this, right? You've got your tag end, your loose end on the left, and you've got the rest of your paracord coming out, and it looks like a loop like this. Now for this part, remember, do you see where it overcomes that rope? Wherever you start with, that is where your line is going to be of these all the way around the steering wheel. So get it where you want it. You might have to have a second person, come hold this part while you start the rest of the process, or you might have to have another person or an area to tie it off on your boat. I'm going to start a little bit and then I will let you guys know whenever I get to the next step. All right, now that I have a little bit started, it's a little bit easier for me to show you guys how to do the pattern. So once you get to this part, it's pretty easy to forget where you are, but I have a simple way of knowing if your string with all of your bunch right here is going down, then we're going to do an over. This seems the opposite, but you'll see why I call it an over. Now, so if the string is going down, you're going to pull the string and make a loop underneath the steering wheel. But the over part is going to be the paracord's going over the steering wheel and through the loop. So I throw it through the loop, I drop it down, I grab this paracord. Very important part right here is see all of my knots. I'm lining them up. I don't want them, you can put the knots wherever you want them. You could have them on the top, on the side, anything like that. I sort of like this 45-degree angle, so I'm just gonna grab it, tighten it up. So right now I could say, maybe I forgot which pattern I was doing. Since the cord is coming up, I'm going to follow it up and I'm going to do an under. An under would be pulling all of the paracord and going underneath the steering wheel and up. Grab it, get the knot, and go just like this. So it was pretty hard for me to get it started because I am by myself. So my first 2 or 3 under-overs did not look great. What I actually did, and you can do as well, before you get too far, say I did about 4 or 5 of them, they were staying sturdy, I actually undid my tag end, a few in, and so now I have this nice and perfect one right here. So hopefully you guys can see it, and just right there, that is going to be that tag end. So now I'm just going to keep doing the over-unders, and I'll show you guys a couple more. So now I'm going to go under. Well, this will be an over. but I'm pulling the paracord under and going over the steering wheel. See, getting all tangled up, but that works good right there. So now this one is going to be an under. I'm throwing the paracord over and then going underneath the steering wheel. That easy trick will definitely help you out if you ever start getting confused and messing up which way you're going. If you mess up which way you're going, you're going to have to backtrack to make it look correct. Another thing is, if you're having trouble getting it tight, you can wet the paracord. That'll help as well. I'm going to get all the way up to this spoke, and then I will reconvene with you guys and show you how I get over the spoke. All right, everybody, as you can see, I got a little bit carried away and I actually went through the first spoke, but I just wanted to be able to show you guys what it looks like and then how I did it. So if you see the back side of the spoke, the line is all the way up to it. Go until you can get all the way up into the line. And there's nothing special about it. If you can see, remember what we talked about? The line is going up, so I'm doing the up loop and then the under. And that's all there is to it. So you're just going to do that, and then you're going to continue on with the pattern. Nothing special, and it will all end up lining up and looking nice and neat, and you'll have all your knots. So now I did that over, so now I'm going over. I did an under before, sorry. All right, so just keep going like that. And also, if you can see here, I've got my line redone. I got it a little bit tangled up. It was a pain in the butt to unwrap, so untangle. So if you're watching this all the way through, which I would suggest, please keep the line untangled. It's going to save you a lot of time. Also, I know there are other videos that have, 100,000 views on this, but I really think some of them did not explain the starting process the best. I think that way that I did it, where you do what you need to and then get a couple ravels good, and then you can backtrack it, really explain some things for me. And then also that little tip about which way the line is pointing, I didn't have anybody else say, so I think those things will really help you out. All right, I'm gonna do some more of the wheel and then I'll get back with you guys soon. I got my helpers outside with me now. Everybody, I am to the end of the steering wheel. When I started, I made sure that this spoke, something to listen to if you don't have a suicide knob or something so you know that your engine's lined up straight, this spoke down was my starting point, and that's where I knew that my engine was pointed straight. So now, whenever I'm on the steering wheel, parking, doing whatever, driving, I know that this down here is where I need to line my steering wheel back up if I'm trying to go straight. So just did that. That's just something for me. You guys can do it how you want, but that's something that I did. Another thing is I made sure that at every spoke I went the same way. So for me, it was an over. For you, it might be an under, but I just wanted them all to match, look the same, right? So looks really good. I got all the knots lined up, made sure that whenever I was going around, I was making sure everything was in line. Everything is nice and tight, and I'm to the ending point. They both look like this coming out. So right here, I'm going to show you how we're going to clip these both, and then we're going to burn them. They're both very tight right now. I pulled these as tight as I could, so here we go. All right, guys. All right, everybody, so next step, get your scissors out, and I am going to clip both of these pieces of paracord right here. And this is why I said that I like the scissors instead of the knife, because I think it's just a little bit more precise on something like that. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to want to grab your lighter, and you're going to burn these down. You might want to have a glove. I've sort of thick fingers at this point, especially after dealing with the rope. You're going to want to burn these down and then fold them over. It's a little windy. So I'm just burning it down. Burning it down. Now another thing you can do is you could use your lighter butt. All right, so I got that one done. Just gonna clean it up a little bit. having lighter issues. So I'm gonna come back for the second one in a second. All right, it was the wind, so I'm gonna try this again. Come on. Dang, that one came out perfect. All right, look at that. So they're just burnt down in. Can barely even tell. I'll get some pictures and everything for you guys, and we'll talk about it. Finished product. I could not be happier. This was for $10, you know. Just so y'all know, it took about probably 2 hours, maybe a little bit more. I will say there were some things that I had to work through that other people did not mention in their videos, like the starting point, like how to recognize if you're doing an over or under. They didn't tell me about keeping the same pattern whenever you hit the spokes. One guy just said it didn't matter. So I like things to look neat. I like things to look clean. I'm very particular about my stuff, especially stuff that's expensive that I paid for. So if you guys are like me, I would do it this way and make sure that you do it the right way so you're happy with it later on down the road. As for the paracord, you're gonna have a handful. I'm gonna roll this up. I'm gonna put it in my emergency bag on the boat just in case I ever needed it. And as always, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about this. Something different, but I needed to do it. I saw that the videos I thought would help me were a little bit incomplete, and I definitely found out that there were some things that needed improving in them. So hopefully you guys watch this and you have a little bit easier time than I did. Make sure you don't tangle up the line, you keep the same pattern, you recognize if you're at an over or under, and then that starting point is going to be really tough if you're by yourself. I would recommend getting a second person. Good luck.